Hi guys, welcome to Broken Cycles, the podcast where we unpack toxic cycles in the community that shape our relationships, identities, and our communities. I'm your host Essence.
And I'm your host Ebony.
And today we'll be talking about the unfair expectations placed on the Black community.
And really Black people in general, outside and inside of our communities, from fashion to the way you're supposed to look, things you're interested in, so on and so forth.
Yes, I feel so like Black people are sort of seen as like a monolith and placed into this box of expectations and stereotypes. So when you sort of break that mold, people are like, oh, well, you're not actually Black, you know. They have this like sort of view or stigma about how Black people should act and should be. So when you break that view or you break that stigma, you sort of get like pushback from other people or told you want to be something other than Black.
Yes, and you can often see this a lot, especially when it comes to music, I feel like. Music and fashion. So if you don't like the newest rap song, or you're not wearing jeans, or all these stereotypical fashion pieces or pieces that are supposed to make you Black, then people really put you in a box and label you as other rather than being a Black person who just likes other things than what is expected of them.
Yeah, like I feel like for guys, like if you dress a certain way, you get like that corny cornball sort of like name thrown at you. For girls, oh, you want to dress white, you want to be Asian. Like I can't even wear too much. I can't wear leg warmers. Leg warmers are from the 80s, guys. I wear leg warmers and people are like, do you want to be Asian? My bad, guys. I didn't know leg warmers had an ethnicity. My bad.
Also, I think that this can be another example of when some other culture takes inspiration from the Black community. Turned and twisted, and it's like, oh, something that you used to wear, something that used to be big in your community is, has branched out into different communities, and it's kind of been forgotten by your own people. So when you want to go ahead and wear something again that was once popular in your community, it's become popular in somebody else's community. So it's like, when you try to wear it, they're like, oh, you're trying to be someone else.
And you know what's crazy about that, Evie? I like to jump in and add, it's also like that little stigma of Black people who say something belongs to them. They're like, well, no, this doesn't belong to you, or it's not cultural appropriation, it's appreciation. So like when you say something is like from Black culture, people are so defensive. But then I wear, like I said, my example, which is something that truly happened to me, guys. I wear leg warmers and people are like, oh, you want to be Asian. And it's like, people are so quick to give credit to other cultures until it's Black culture. So I find that really interesting. Like, no one says, oh, you're trying to be Black when you see a girl wearing hoop earrings. No one says, oh, you're trying to be Black when you see people like doing very touchy variations of braids. Like, you say something about people wearing braids and they're like, oh, well, this Vikings draw. Like, okay, girl. Vikings probably were French. Vikings didn't wear French curl. They wore French braids, if anything.
You saw these girls wearing a dupatta. And it's a traditional Indian garb. And you have people fighting for their lives trying to explain to you, no, this comes from a different country. This has nothing to do
It's always a European country too. It's like always one of those small European countries. They're like, no, this is like from Switzerland. This is from Sweden. This is from like, okay, all right, guys. Does Switzerland and Sweden know it's from there? While we're at it,
with these countries weren't even like the starter of most history, if you think about it, because most things came from Greece originally. A lot of language, fashion, technology came from the Grecians. Mm-hmm. But when people do stuff, for some reason, they're like, oh, these are the Vikings. It's like, how did Eric Leifman get thrown into
Yeah. And I think,
I think it's disheartening,
I also think it's very interesting that like other cultures are allowed to like say, oh, this is very pure, this is sacred to us, and you can respect that. Like there's a lot of things I respect about other cultures where I wouldn't want to disrespect it because I have cultural sensitivity and respect But like when black people say, "Oh, this is from our culture, please respect it. This is why it's important," people sort of treat it as like a throwaway. Like I feel like black people are like expected or wanted to be very open and like sharing with everyone, even though like we sort of don't get that same treatment from other cultures where it's like, "Oh, please do this, please wear this, da da da." Like there's a lot of anti-blackness in a lot of other cultures. So the fact that black people are expected to be and are very inclusive with black culture, it's very disheartening to see that like when we try to say, "Oh, well, this is from us, this is ours," we get so much pushback and like racism.
That's so true. And I think the thing is, there's a bias. Even within other African communities or black communities that are not American,
Black American, yeah.
It's just like people completely disregard you if they feel like you don't come from a culture where your own history and own things. But if that's completely unfair due to Black Americans specifically, because we are in a country where we had to make up our own everything. Everything started from scratch for us. Food, fashion, every single thing you can think of.
We had to, like, once black people were not enslaved anymore, we had to create everything from scratch. Like, everything was created from scratch. In a country that was foreign to us, actually, not our native homeland.
And, like, you do still have some influence from Africa that people pass down to their family. But those things changed eventually.
Yeah.
And we made it our own. And it's disrespectful for people to continue to be like, "You're Black American, where are you from?"
Where are you from?
No, I'm from America. My family was brought to America hundreds of years ago without consent, and we had to build everything brick by brick.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
brick by brick.
Invented so many things that have been lost in history. That are the iron, the modern day sanitary products for women, the vacuum cleaner or the broom,
the modern traffic light,
the things that go into lights, because
the screws or
not the screws,
light bulbs. No.
Whatever the conduction that is in the light.
Oh, okay, like the actual like electrical portion. I almost grabbed this lamp to show it like which part. There's a lamp on your desk, and I'm like, which part?
They give the credit to somebody else, and it's like all these things.
We can pull up a list right now. Things created by Black Americans
that were created by our people that are necessary everywhere in the world, and you just have people disrespect this continuously, and that's not a fair thing to do, especially with how much people have sacrificed to get to the point of where they are now, and it's not even the best place we could possibly be.
It's truly due to Jim Crow, segregation, all these things, sharecropping, all these things, and stigmas placed even after we were no longer enslaved. We were still in the shackles of white supremacy, and we still are to this day, where Black people are constantly fighting for their place in this world and having to prove and be 2 times, 5 times, 10 times better than everyone else to show that we have the skills and that we deserve to be in places, if not deserve to run places. It's very tiring, but like it's a race we keep running.
And I think one thing that we as people have created for ourselves is our personality, all within the Black community. There's just something about Black people that is naturally entertaining.
Magnetic, very magnetic.
And so we had these, and I think it was very dynamic in the 80s. So many TV shows, so many creative things that Black people created and were able to do. Which is why I think like the Wayans family.
Yeah, they're pioneers. You see, they were inducted into like the Hall of Fame for what was it? Was it NAACP awards?
Yeah, NAACP.
And they obviously deserve that, 100%.
It's those types of Spike Lees, right?
Yeah. People who show their stories, who show Black stories, like, raw and authentically, and not, like, in ways that, like, I feel like have those stereotypes, like, yes, because, like, there are certain Black people who act certain ways. So I feel like they show, like, an array of Black people, though. Not just, like, the goofy one, the sporty one, but, like, very, very different ways we come across in our community and come across, like, in personality.
Because it's always, you can always tell when a really good representation of Black people. Because you always have someone who's bougie. Because there's always somebody who's bougie who thinks that they're better than everybody else. There's always a troubled person who struggles with something. And it doesn't even have to be something hardcore like drugs or drinking. It just could be life in general. You know, they have a job and all this other stuff, but, you know, mentally they're struggling. You have kids with an array of personality. It's just, I think, different when you can tell that people appreciate and love the Black community and don't just see us as the side character.
Yeah.
Who's only good for one thing.
The disposable Black girlfriend trope.
Oh,
or just like the Black best friend trope, where you have the goofy Black guy who's the best friend who conveniently plays a sport.
You know, or the Black girl. Usually she's goofy, nerdy. She might be dark skinned, overweight. She never has a love interest.
We talked about this
because her personality is just too bright and beautiful to be interested in. The thing is, like, you can have that personality, but like, what's wrong with adding romance into it?
Yeah, like the strong, independent.
Yeah.
And it's like you can be independent and still like have a romance. Like, do people know that you can be independent and still like care about, like, still have romance in your life? Like, you don't have to give away romance to be independent. But yeah.
Or when you have a character like
Io.
Io, like,
so sorry guys, I'm a little sick.
The main, I don't know his name.
Carmen.
Her and the main dude. Yes. Her and the main dude. They're like chemistry.
They have good chemistry.
Like, oh my gosh. No, they're like platonic best friends.
Apparently the writer said they won't end up together, but even their writers lie all the time. They have a lot of chemistry in that show. I've seen, because I don't even watch the bear, I've seen that clips. I'm like, are they gonna end up together? That's why I started like getting interested in it, because I like Io a lot. But I was also like, are they like, because I saw the clips and I was like, wow, this is a really good like pairing. Are they gonna end up together? And people are like, they should stay friends. And I was like, my bad. Like, and it wasn't even them jumping me, but I saw them jumping other people asking the same question, like, oh, will they end up together? I was like, you know what? Let me stay away from this. I'm clearly out of my like comfort zone with this.
I always think to myself that I cannot stomach that show because of how badly they treated Cat Graham.
Yeah, the writer / producer of the show, she hated Cat Graham so bad. That's crazy.
And she's continuously disrespected as a character and treated as a side character until they needed her.
Which is so crazy, because all of her castmates like loved her. Like, she was like, you could tell everyone just like she was one of the favorites between like the actors and actresses. Like, they all had a great relationship with her. And the writer, like, what's her name, Julie Plec. I know her name because they talk crazy about her so bad. Like she was the only one who had like this envy or jealousy towards her, which is crazy because in the books people say Bonnie ends up with Damon. So I was like, oh, you actually do hate her. Then why would you let her be cast if you hated her so much? That's my question.
I think she had to fill the quota.
That's great. That's crazy. I want you to know that, right? She said the quota. You're not wrong. Because when we start counting Black people in Vampire Diaries, you know, I think I would hate to be in the Vampire Diaries universe. I was like, I saw this thing where it's like, would you rather be in like, they were like, would you rather be in Harry Potter, The Hunger Games, Twilight, or Vampire Diaries? And I was thinking really hard. I was like, probably Harry Potter, or even Twilight. I have a better chance of living in Twilight. The Vampire Diaries, like, clearly The Hunger Games, no. But, like, Vampire Diaries, even, you're not safe. But anyone could go, for no reason, too. Like, they killed Bonnie multiple times. Elena died. She was the main character, and she died, but came back. Like, people were dying for no reason. I was like, left and right. I I was like,
back to topic at hand. It's just things like that, just like subtle racism, discrimination that you can it's obvious if you're like, oh, something's not right here.
And I feel like Black people catch on to it like so quickly. Like white people are like, oh, what's racist about that? And then like you have to go through that like that tedious process of having to explain, well, how come she gets to have a boyfriend and she doesn't? And it's like that in multiple movies and shows. Like you have to show that pattern. Yeah, and so it's like really frustrating to always have to be like, okay, well, because this is this pattern of this, and it keeps occurring to this character that only looks like this. You get it now. And it's like, it's just a frustrating conversation, because I feel like white people sort of have this problem where they don't have that like place themselves in other people's shoes sort of thing. And I don't know if it's like a genetically ingrained thing. And I'm not saying all white people are like this, but a lot of times white people have this really hard time empathizing with Black people, which happened. I have a great example. In the Hunger Games, Rue was Black in the book. And when Amanda Steinberg was cast as Rue, a lot of people started saying that like they couldn't see why Katniss would say Rue reminded her of her little sister because Rue was Black. And it's like, well, because she and her little sister, Rue and Prim, were the same age, so that's how Katniss didn't see Rue as a Black girl. She saw her as a little girl who was the same age as her sister, placed in this like dangerous, horrible situation, and as an innocent person, she needed to protect. She saw more, like people are always like, oh, like I don't see skin. Yes, y'all do. You guys definitely do, because what do you mean you couldn't see why Katniss saw Prim in Rue just because she was Black? Like that's something to unpack there, and that's like internalized, very clear, blatant racism.
I have to say very bluntly, I think that's the stupidest thing people say. But what do you mean you don't see skin color? Of course you do. The first thing you see when you see a person is their physical features. Yeah. If a person is white, the first thing you might notice is this white person has blue eyes. This white person has green eyes, brown.
I think people have this thing where they think seeing skin color is like what makes them racist, exactly. But it's like acknowledging someone's skin color does not make them racist. Like acknowledging features and physical traits of someone does not make you racist. Like, oh, okay, this girl's white and she's really like, she has nice red hair, she has blue eyes. Like that's how you see a person as they are. You have to see a person as they are. Like there's no way around seeing someone for like their skin color, their eye color, the character, their physical characteristics are important. So I feel like saying, oh, I don't see skin. You must, though. You must. Because that sort of thing impacts how we live every day. The difference in how some people will treat your white friend versus how they treat you, like that is something important. And you have to acknowledge it, because like people are always like, oh, well, we want racism to go away. Racism won't go away. And it definitely won't go anywhere or be addressed if you ignore it. Privilege. I feel like people have the privilege of living in this bubble where it's like, oh, I don't see skin color, so it's okay. But like that bubble doesn't stop other people from being racist. It just protects you.
That's true. And I think that's the number one problem is it's not, like you said, it's not the seeing skin color that's the problem. It's the hating people based off of the skin color. So it's not like one extreme or the other extreme. It's like a good middle point is, I see that you are a Black person. I acknowledge that you have cultures and things that are important to you and your people. And I respect those things just as I would like for you to see me as a non-Black person and see me and my people, my culture. Like, you can't live in a world of ignorance, because that's very naive.
Like, I don't know, I wish I could give someone my brain and, like, help them see, like, what I mean when I say, like, it's okay to see color without, like, that being the reason you hate on someone or choose whether or not you like someone or someone is a good or bad person. Like, you're associating characteristics of someone based on their appearance, and that's what happens with racial bias. When I see a K-pop idol who's handsome, I don't go, but like, he's Asian. Like, I don't know how to explain how I see brain. Like, I'm able to acknowledge people's race. Like, I wish I could share my brain. I can acknowledge people's race without making that the reason I project, like, all these, like, stereotypes or thoughts onto them, if that makes sense. Like, I take everyone in a case-by-case basis, where it's like, okay, you're Asian. What else is there to you? Like, what's your personality? Like, I can appreciate that you,
I think this is where those stereotypes about cultures, like if we talk about since we are talking about the Black community, if we say a Black woman, for example, people nowadays in this 2025, you know, they have certain expectations of what a Black woman is supposed to look like, how they're supposed to act. And you always hear it, especially when a person doesn't want to date someone that's Black, specifically a Black woman. They're always like, oh, Black women are loud, they're ghetto, and all these other terrible stereotypical things.
And like being loud isn't necessarily bad. I can be loud at times. I'm not ashamed of that. That's just my personality. I get excited, so I get loud because I'm passionate about things. Like I just feel like certain things are like, because when a Latina girl, they like loud Latina girls. They like spicy Latinas, you know. They like things like that. But on a Black woman, it's seen as bad. You can be passionate if you're not Black.
Is when you're presented with a Black associate with her.
And then, like, I think with people like Clark, they'll say she's bougie, she's uppity, she has these, like, standards, she's, like, you know, bougie, uppity, there she goes, she thinks she's better than me. And even for quiet Black girls, introverted Black girls, they still think they're stuck up or mean. Like, you can't, if you're too bubbly, you're too loud, or you're fake. If you're too quiet, then you're stuck up, you think you're better than everyone, you think you're above people, or they assume you're, like, this mean, bad person, because you're not, you may be shy, you know? So it's like, you can't win either way. You have to see, you're either smiling too much or you're not smiling enough. There is no happy medium in this part that they want you to play.
That's true. And then when you take those personalities and put them on other cultures, like for example, Asian women, particularly Japanese women, are fetishized
really bad,
terribly. And they're like, oh, they're so quiet and demure, and they respect patriarchy and things like that. But seeing I live in Korea, I'll use Korea as an example. These Korean girls, when I tell you, they can be just as loud and boisterous and have all this personality, and they're not in the same box that you put them in, because they're not a monolith. They are different people, just as the same in the Black community, where we are different people.
And I feel like this will tie into our last topic, where we talk about like Black people when it comes to pop culture and our inclusion there and our spaces there. Because something I noticed on social media, like because the new movie Sinners has come out with Michael B. Jordan, I'm very excited to go see that sometime soon, hopefully. There was this discourse I saw on TikTok, Ebby, as I told you, where people were like, this one guy, this creator was like, oh, why aren't like Latinas in Sinners, why aren't Latinos like represented in Sinners? And this other Latino guy was like, why would Latinos be in Sinners? He's like, why would we be in that movie? And then he brought up this great point about like how Latinos still give a hard time to Afro Latinos in their spaces. So it's like, you want to be involved in Black spaces in like a movie for like with a lot of Black representation, but like you don't really respect or treat Black people that good, even your own people in your own spaces, and you don't represent them yourself in like predominantly Hispanic movies. And then they brought up about Blue Beetle, a DC movie, which the main lead is a Hispanic male, and they're like, well, you guys didn't show up and support that movie, but you want Black people to include you in their movies. And I just thought he did a really good and comprehensive TikTok about like the hypocrisy and sort of like, you know, like you didn't even support your own movie like with someone Hispanic leading it, but you want to be included in Black people's stuff. And it's like, it is a little frustrating and tiring when you think of it that way. Like, you constantly want Black people to be so inclusive, but you are very exclusive of Black people in your own spaces. And people love saying the N-word. Let's be frank. I'm in Texas. They love saying the N-word here, guys. And it's supposed to be like, oh, it's okay, it's fine. Like, okay, is it? But yeah, it's just so crazy, like in pop culture, where you see when Black people do have something that's like predominantly a Black production, other people still want to be included in it, even though Black people do things like that because they are not included in traditional media. And when they are, it's called woke. It's called being woke in DEI, and they're like, oh, don't change these characters to like be Black. So when we do create original things, you're upset that you're not included. Like, what do you want? Like, you just don't want to see Black people. Let's say what it is.
That's a word right there. And I would like to also point out that the movie Sinners is, despite the fantasy element in it, is based off of actual history during 1930s in the Deep South, particularly Mississippi, where I believe it takes place. And you did have people of Chinese descent because they worked on the railroads.
Mm-hmm.
They had to pay their labor. You had people who were Irish, because at that time, Irish people and Italian people were still seen as other, not included in the white community. So all these things that are in the movie, actual, representation of the time period. So there were no Hispanic people, particularly in the South at that time. So you have to also respect that. I think what you're saying is very true. What the creator was saying is very true. Because you have so many Afro-Latinos who are prominent, but you don't even know they're Afro-Latino because their communities don't uplift them.
Look at Zoe Saldana, though. Like, for a long time, people thought she was just black. Because she never, yes, I'm sure she, claimed her Afro-Latina-ness, but, back in when she started, she was, in Drumline. She was, in a bunch of things playing just black characters. And now that she's older and that being Afro-Latina and Afro-Latino is becoming more of, a common, spoken out. People are talking about their heritage and their lineage. Now she's, getting roles where she's, playing Hispanic women or Latina women. But it's still, that just shows an example of the shift. When you look at Zoe Saldana, when she started out, she was just playing black characters. And now she's able to play characters with more range when it comes to, ethnicity.
She's able to play more characters that, I guess, represent her, both sides of who she is. And I see that also not only in the Latino community, but also in, certain Asian communities. Because Filipinos, they really uplift
Olivia Rodriguez, a little Mexican girl that cried.
But you have, on the flip side, her, who's proudly stated, and her mother is full Filipino. And you don't see the same support for her as you see for Olivia. So I think as a community...
Saweetie too.
These communities need to recognize that you can't just represent one part that you think is acceptable. These are people who are proudly stating their heritage. And for some reason, that's not good enough for you because they don't look like what you want them to look like.
In a way, this makes me respect Korea. Because they used to treat white mixed Koreans and black mixed Koreans sort of the same. When Vernon and Solmi were talking about the racism they faced growing up. And then on the other hand, you have Jenny Park and Han Hyun-min also talking about their similar experiences. Growing up, they both faced very similar experiences because Koreans, they're not just racist, they're also sort of xenophobic, where it's other, where it's if it's anything other, they're sort of I don't know about that. But obviously people like Solmi and Vernon and people like Jenny and Hyunmin have found success, thankfully. Hyunmin and Jenny became models, which is amazing because that means you're a standard of beauty. And then Solmi and Vernon are both idols, which is also another celebrity figure in the media for popularity. But I think in a way, it's not good, but in a way I sort of respect how Korea, sort of treats them equally when it comes to treating mixed Koreans, a certain way. I never thought I would say that out loud, but it's well, at least, there's no preference. There's something, their discrimination is based off of something that's, deeper than, being half white or half black. It's based on something deeper than that when it comes to them and their bloodlines and the purity of their bloodline. It's not necessarily a good thing. I don't know. I understand wanting to keep your bloodline pure because your culture, things like that. But also taking it out on the kids is sort of crazy. But that's what I'm saying. I sort of can respect how they treat everyone the same. But treating someone better just because they're half white is sort of where it's okay, now you just love the whiteness too. It's not about your culture, your bloodline. It's the colorism where it's wait, so you just hate dark skin, wait. And that's where it's that's sort of weird. Self-hatred there a bit.
because there's Filipinos who have naturally dark skin. And I had a friend like that. She's half Filipino. Her mom was Filipina and her dad was black, and her mom would say like horrible stuff about her skin color. And it's like, you chose to have a daughter with a black man, so how can you not love your child? Because you had options. You didn't have to have that daughter. But anyway, sorry. Like, you chose to give birth to her. How can you hate on her skin, you know?
And really quickly to go back around to sinners, what you were saying just now reminds me of the black community and the expectations there again. Because one of the characters, I think her name is Mary in the movie.
She's a black love interest? Or is it Haley Steinfeld's character? Which one?
No, the black love interest.
The black love interest, that's Annie. Mary is Haley Steinfeld.
Okay. So I'm talking about Annie. And the reaction that people had, like, I thought she was the auntie.
I saw that. I will fact check this.
I thought she was the mammy. And it's like, girl,
the mama. She never looked. Michael B. Jordan and her look the same age. Not sure their age difference, but they definitely look the same age. And that's my girl because I liked her in something else. Yeah, Annie.
The character that she represents is the exact matriarch in the black community. We have come to a point where we are so twisted about like that you can't even recognize your.
It almost was like, did y'all want a Zendaya to play her? Like, what did we want from her? Like, they get mad when they see like black women who have like very clear, very like nothing biracial going on, like monoracial black feature and skins.
That is.
Because, like, it's great to see a darker skin love interest, in my opinion. I love that we got to see a darker skin love interest, because we, honestly, let's be real, we don't see that a lot.
Yeah. And not someone who was darker skinned, but someone who, like, would actually look like a person at that time.
At that time, where it was, like...
Who was very loved on.
Yeah.
Because if you look in somebody's black household right now, that is their... kin. That is their grandmother. That is their great-grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just, when we come to a point where we're just so disrespectful to our own people, to our own culture, to our own lineage, it's just becoming blurred. And when you see somebody like that, your mind should not automatically go to, this is the helper. This is somebody who's just the side character cast off. Mm-hmm. This is somebody's auntie.
Yeah.
Like, no, this was your family.
Yeah, that would be how your family looked. Like, when you look at pictures of your grandparents and your great-grandparents, that's how it would look. That's how they look. Like, those characters from Sinners, like Annie, that's how your great-grandmother looks. That's how your great-great-grandmother looks. That might even be how your grandmother looks. So, like, these are people, this is a clear...
crazy.
I feel like people are so brainwashed by Instagram and TikTok and all these, like, social media apps and, like, beauty standards and, like, the rise in, like, seeing less, like, monoracial black people play, like, black characters where it's, like, and not getting as many dark-skinned main characters where they're, like, forgetting, like, this is what black people look like. Black people are not, like, black people aren't a monolith. We look different. So, yeah.
Because, I mean, even though our grandma was really light-skinned.
Very light.
Shout out to Granny.
Very.
She was still... Like, when you look at her old pictures when she was younger, she was still a beautifully full-figured person. And so I think that we should respect the different bodies that are within our communities because those are the bodies that gave birth to us.
Yes. And I think, just like wrapping up here, the overarching message of our episode today is the fact that Black people are not like an exclusive one-size-fits-all sort of people. We're not a group of people who all look the same and have the same interests, nor are we a people where we should feel forced to sort of like always include everyone in everything when we don't receive that same inclusion back.
And onto that, please check your stereotypes because there are not Black people who can sing. There are not
like
Black
me.
people who can't dance.
Oh, I can dance.
Who are naturally good at sports. Who have the swag. that people tend to associate Black people
and like
with.
Oh yes, Black people do have swag. I don't know, sorry guys, it's just like it's like inside of us. It's very genetically carried. Like if you're a lame, you're definitely a lame, but like most Black people do have a swag, and it's just something we can't help. But it's not something you should base how you act with us off of, you know, like swaggy. Calm down, please. Be calm. Be so calm.
Yeah, please just treat Black people as people and not as the entertainment piece that you see from off your television.
Yeah.
All right, and with that, we are wrapping up our episode today. Thank you for everyone who tuned in. Please don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms. Instagram, TikTok. We have a Gmail. If you want to email us, it's somewhere included in the social media. Please listen to this podcast on the platforms: Spotify, YouTube, YouTube Music, Apple Music, everywhere, basically. And we'll see you for the next episode.
Thank you. Bye.